Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Rebecca and on this channel I go for all things accounting, finance, tax and investment related. So if you like this kind of stuff then please do consider subscribing, and otherwise let's get straight into the video. So I've had a lot of questions recently from various different students that I've picked up on quite a few videos, and I've done my very best to answer them, but I thought that I would do a video. So the question that I'm being asked at the moment is whether or not it's better to go down either the university route or go down the AAT route. So I think the best way to answer that is just to draw upon my own experience. So for anybody who doesn't know, I didn't go to university. If I go back over a decade ago now, I had my GCSEs and I had my A-levels. At the time I didn't know whether I wanted to actually pursue accountancy or something else, so my mind wasn't necessarily made up, but I did do my research. So I did have a look at various different universities across the UK. I actually made a spreadsheet of all of the pros and cons of why I should or shouldn't go to university, and it was really odd because the decision not to go to university was against a lot of the advice that I was receiving both from college, family members, friends, etc., because a lot of my friends were going on to university to study different things. So when I had a look at the courses that were available, I could have gone on to do accountancy and finance, business finance, or something similar. At that time, AAT wasn't something that I was aware of. I'd never heard of it, it had never been mentioned at college. I don't know if it was just because at that time it wasn't very big and nobody really knew about it, or whether the advice was just to go to university if you had A-levels. But I remember sitting there and having to do my own research about it. I didn't even know what it stood for. So if anybody's watching this video for the first time, and it's for the first time hearing AAT, it's just the Association of Accounting Technicians, and it's a diploma that you can take in fact in accountancy and finance. So I found that I could apply for a job with an employer who would send me on day release for 1 day a week, or in the evenings I could go ahead and go to a college, study AAT whilst learning on the job. And the reason why even to this day when people ask me what my opinion would be and what I would do, I'm more lenient towards going down that AAT route over university, but that's just a personal opinion and obviously depends on your personal circumstances. But the only reason for that is because when you go ahead and study the AAT with a learning provider and also with a approved employer, you're getting that hands-on experience, and a lot of you might be able to resonate with this. Sometimes what you learn at university might be very theory-based and is not necessarily very practical to the work situation that you're placed into. So I think if you've got an element of studying in the classroom and actually learning on the job, then it just becomes that much easier to blend the two together. And there's definitely been times in the past when I've been at work and I've had to face something for the first time, a new task I've never seen before, or I haven't had that much training on what to do with it and it's just handed and you've got to run with it. Many times I've been able to go back to what I learned at AAT and just almost reverse engineer what they want you to do. So I don't think that I would necessarily have got that if I'd have taken the university route. Now, the other thing that I considered when I decided to go down the AAT route and not the university route was the cost of university. So a lot of the times with the AAT, you can find a learning provider who will pay your AAT costs for you whilst you're studying. There's now government funding that you can apply for, which there never used to be. And also with the AAT nowadays, you can learn online or in a classroom, so you don't actually have to be in that classroom environment if you're somebody who doesn't prefer that learning style. Whereas again with a university, you've got a minimum of a 3-year degree in most cases, and it's not government funding. You're going to have to pay for that yourself, and tuition fees these days are anything from £9,000 upwards per year. So if you go down the university route, you're going to have that student fee hanging over your head, which you don't have to pay straight away. You've got to get a job first over, I think it used to be £16,000 per annum, but it could have changed, I don't know the exact figures. But you then pay towards the cost of your student loan month by month, is taken out of your paycheck. So if you study the AAT and you're not paying for it yourself, if your employer's paying for it, then you don't have those fees after you've qualified to then pay for. The other thing you've got to think about is if you go down the AAT route with an approved employer, then you're being paid. So those costs that you would have had going to university for food, rent, electricity, gas, etc., clothes, and study materials that you need for the classroom, you're not going to have that same worry if you are bringing in an income at the same time of studying and learning. So definitely when I was weighing up the two, that was something that appealed to me greatly, because I didn't, again, want to be cash strapped whilst trying to study, because I wanted all of my energy to be on the study materials and not necessarily what was going on around me. Now, another thing to consider is if you undertake the AAT, there is actually a fast track available to you in most circumstances. So if you wanted to go on to then study the likes of ACA or ACCA, CIMA, SIPFA, one of the professional qualifications, then you can actually get on a fast track route, meaning that it's only going to take you 2 years to qualify under one of those exams instead of the 3 years it would take if you'd have gone to university. So if you're somebody that wants to really speed up that process and get qualified with, again, CIMA, ACCA, ACA, etc., one of those quite quickly, then going down the AAT route instead of the university route might be something that appeals to you a little bit more. But again, with all of this, it just depends on your personal circumstances, your learning style, what you want to do. So at the end of the day, it is your decision. So something else to consider as well. So if you go to university on a course and you decide that you don't like that course, it's not for you, and you decide that you're going to change it or you're going to just drop out, that could be quite a big issue for you if you decide that you don't want to go ahead with that particular degree. Whereas with the AAT, if you study level 2 or level 3, for instance, you decide you kind of like that side of accounting, but you prefer, say, bookkeeping over accounting, then you can then switch to the bookkeeping qualifications and undertake those instead, which would be a lot quicker and simpler of a process than, say, switching your degree. So there's always that element of flexibility with the AAT. Now, one thing that I'll mention as well on this video is that if you're somebody who actually enjoys tax and not necessarily all of the bookkeeping and accounting and double entry, etc., then there is actually a course called the AAT. So that's the Association of Tax Technicians. So if you think that you want to go down the tax route and solely specify just on tax, maybe you want to become a consultant at some point, then you can do the ATT instead of the AAT. So that might be something that you've not yet considered. Now, another reason why I decided not to go to university was because when I was actually looking into the job market after university, so I was trying my best to think long term, which I know sometimes is not easy to do. I found at that time, which again was over a decade ago, only 16% of individuals who'd taken a degree in a specific field were actually doing what they'd taken the degree in afterwards. So only 16% of people going to university were getting a job in that field that they had studied. And that scared me a little bit, because I thought I might not get a 1-1 because it does take me a little bit more time to take things on. I'm not one of these people who just picks up things really quickly. But you need something that makes you stand out from other individuals if you want to get a job after studying your degree. So as well as studying a degree, you're going to have to find something like work placements, so like summer secondments at one of these top firms, which from my own knowledge and experience are very competitive. So I thought there could be a chance that I might not get onto one of those, and then I'll have done 3 years at university having no work experience. I'm going to start at the very bottom of the company if I even get a job, and then there could be a time in between where I don't have a job, and then I'm going to have to go through the whole process of an interview, etc. But whilst competing with these individuals who already have the AAT or already have had those summer placements that I might not necessarily have got onto. So there was always that consideration as well that I took into account when I decided to go ahead and study the AAT. And it might be something that you're thinking about too. Now, you might be on the other side of the fence and you might decide that, university is the way that you want to go. So with all of this, there isn't a wrong and a right answer. It is really down to just what you think is best for you. So don't take what I'm saying as golden. You've got to make your own decisions and do what's best for you and your situation. So I hope you found this video useful. If there's anything that I haven't covered in this video, then please feel free to pop any comments or questions in the comments section below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. But otherwise, consider subscribing as always, and I shall see you on the next video.